Shalom Aleichem to everyone. A good night of Shabbos. It's the weekend of Tes and Yud Kislev. Tes Kislev is the Yom Haledes, the birthday and the Yortzeit, the day of passing of the Mitteler Rebbe, the second Chabad Lubavitcher Rebbe, Reb Dov Ber, and followed by Yud Kislev, which is the day when he was liberated from his imprisonment. So it's appropriate to talk a little bit about the historical details of the Mitteler Rebbe and his relationship to Chabad Lubavitch. Now, what do I mean? There is an interesting letter from the Mitteler Rebbe where he encourages his Chasidim to make their own shuls, their own shtibels. Because at the time, although the Alter Rebbe was vindicated on Yutes Kislev from the false conspiracy charges of him being an active participant in supporting the Turkish government over the Russian government, nevertheless, the Chasidim Misnagdim feud lingered on. And it lingered on in many different shtetl, many little cities, you know. And when Chabad Chasidim davened, they prayed in Litvische, Besnagdische shuls, shtiblach, they were pressured in various ways, or at least they felt pressured. And it was very uncomfortable. So the Mitteler Rebbe was the first one, not the Alter Rebbe, to say, go for it, make your own shuls. And I think that's a very significant historical point. There is a time and place when a person has to break away. You know, we talk about breakaway communities. Today, we're dealing now with a breakaway within the world of the Hasidic movement, Ger or Gur. And everyone around here is talking about it. 10,000 people last Shabbos, or in a tent, on 18th Avenue and 53rd Street or so. And someone told me he tried to get in, you couldn't get in, it was dangerous. He said there was so many people and there was not so much room. Who was this Reb Shaul Alter, the Rosh Hashiva of one of the Gera yeshivas, who was a kind of appointed and elected by a group of 250 people several years ago to start their own shul. And he's very, very forthright, and he is a great Talmud Chacham. I heard yesterday he's one of the 6 greatest Talmidei Chacham Torah scholars in the world today. And if you see and hear him talk, he talks very flippantly, you know, like you and I can have a conversation. They had a clip of him ending a certain talk that he gave here in Muncie or somewhere, and he says, thank you for listening, and he gets up and he leaves. You know, no fanfare. That, combined with his personality, with his knowledge, is only going to attract more and more Yidden Chasidim to him. Guaranteed. Whatever he has now, in 5 to 10 years, it'll be probably 100-fold. But it's a breakaway. And I'm not taking sides, who's right, who's wrong. It's a breakaway. Ger had one Rebbe until now. Now they have 2 figureheads. Call him a Rebbe, call him Rosh Hashiva, but someone who is an active leader in the movement. Is it right? Is it wrong? Rabbi Say, the Mitteler Rebbe teaches us that there is a time to break away. When you cannot continue being in a situation because there is constant disruptions. And more than disruptions, there is humiliation, and there is embarrassment, and there is machlokes, divisiveness. It's time to leave. It's time to vacate, and it's very hard to accept this. We say in Yiddish, es ist a bitterer Rezept. It's a bitter pill, but it's a necessary one. And so historically, the Mitteler Rebbe saw that Lubavitch Chasidim won't be able to function the way they should, and therefore he gave them the green light and he instructed them to make their own shtiblach. The Mitteler Rebbe also is known as the harchava, the expansiveness of Chassidus, the bina of Chassidus. And just briefly, the idea is that his father, the Alter Rebbe, would, let's say a maimer that was several paragraphs, a page or two, whatever, and he would expand on it for 10 pages. Not only was it a quantitative difference, it was a qualitative difference too, because his Chassidus is known among the deepest Hasidic teachings in the world of Chabad Hasidism. The maskilim, the great intellectual minds called in Chabad circles maskilim, compared to oivdim, the servants, the maskilim would learn and dwell on the Mitteler Rebbe's Chassidus. In fact, there's a saying, I believe in Torah Shalom, of the Rebbe Rashab. He says, "A chosid bin ich dem Tatens." I'm a chosid of my father, the Rebbe Marash. Aber lern ich the Mitteler Rebbe's Chassidus, them Zaytens. I studied the Zaytens with the grandfather's Chassidus. Now, it doesn't mean that he didn't learn the Rebbe, his father's Chassidus. He did, and he wrote Hanochas, and he wrote explanations, but mean to say that delving deeply into understanding the intricacies of God